go, baby!
Hello again, all you rockers, rockettes, and everything in between. You have entered a new edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. You know the score. We are the show that dives into the catalog and discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen. But you know this because you've been here. I'm going to assume you've been here before, but if you haven't, if you're a newbie, welcome to the show, and I hope we don't deter your love for the band with all of our unknowledge that we know. But it's not just me here at the desk. No. I am always joined by my co-host, Corey Morissette. Corey, I also forgot to mention my name, Mark Kameyer. It doesn't matter, but Corey, how are you doing?
It's like we've never done this before, Mark. Just
almost had it. Almost had it.
Almost at, by show 100, I think we're going to get this down. This is only show 23. We're still rookies at this, so we got time. I think we got time to figure this thing out.
I think so. And by 100 episodes, I mean, at that point, we're just kind of like, all right, what are we doing now? All right, spin the wheel. How many more songs we got? Oh, there's so many songs. But that's actually the beauty of this show, is because it's going to keep going for a while. We are going to get through all of Van Halen's catalog if it kills us. It might kill us, but that would be one hell of a way to go out. But Corey, I got to say, I was going to say, we are also joined by a special guest. We got another guest in the house. We've been lucky to have guests on the show quite a few times, and one of these particular guests happens to be someone we have known for quite some time. And for all of you that don't know this guy, you should get on YouTube and look up The Truly Bizarre World, and he'll give you a little bit of taste of the sort of things he's into. It's truly bizarre. Please welcome to the show for the first time our good friend, Hillbilly Scribs himself, Jeff Saunders. Jeff, how's it going, my man?
Hey, guys! It is going great. I like I told y'all before the show, I've been playing catch up on y'all's program here, and this stuff is fantastic. I can't
awesome,
wait
man.
to see what builds us today. Now I'm gonna be kind of honest with you. Like, my breadth of knowledge of the Van Halens is not that deep. I kind of where I grew up in Northeast Texas, like in the mid '80s, they took away our MTV, because it would probably lead to Satanism and that kind of stuff. So for a long time, I didn't get to listen to all of this. I just listened to the country music on my parents' radio in their car. So it wasn't really until I got a license to drive in the '90s that I got to experience the rock and roll on the radio. And so my introduction to Van Halen is kind of the early '90s. The David Lee Roth stuff I kind of missed, although I heard it like on movie soundtracks and whatnot. Probably my first occasion to hear him was in Better Off Dead, of all places.
Yeah,
with the little singing hamburger.
That's awesome.
But I'm looking forward to this. The first songs that I really remember hearing on the radio were like Pound Cake and Right Now. So that's kind of where I came into the band. So this is going to be like an eye opener, well, maybe more of an ear opener for me. And I can't wait to see what we get today.
Jeff, earlier before we start recording, you said you were playing catch up on the podcast, and you just got done the episode Fools, which featured one John Mariano, and somehow that conjured him out of thin air, and now he's on the goddamn call. John Mariano's here.
Oh boy!
Hey folks, it's so great to be back.
How did you get here?
I am crashing the party. You mentioned Van Halen, and once in a while it summons me. The curse of Mariano exists. I'm here to keep it alive. And I'm looking forward to giving a solid thumbs down along with whatever you guys give solid thumbs up to. My hope, and in reality, I was just listening to a bunch of Extreme before I jumped on the air, so we know what I'm hoping for tonight.
Don't you dare. This is a conspiracy. The cult is growing, Corey. We can't stop it. It's now infiltrated the show. It's got its fingers dug into it. I don't know what to say.
Mark,
Maybe I can balance the curse of Mariano with a hillbilly blessing.
Yes, balance. That's what we're hoping for. That would be great. Another balance tune.
You know what's tough to balance? Anything that's more than words.
Well, you got me there. Corey, before we even attempt an actual show, before we spin the wheel, that's how this thing works. We spin the wheel, and the wheel gives us a song to listen to and talk about. Before we get into that, I believe you have some on-topic, on-brand news to share with the class. So would you please?
Actually, Mark, last week we recorded with Kelsey, a great friend of the show. She did a fantastic job. The minute we stopped recording, news came out that Noel Monk died, and he was like the second. He was originally the road manager for Van Halen, took over right around Van Halen 2, right up through 1984. He wrote the excellent book Running with the Devil. He passed away, so we want to give our condolences to the Noel Monk family. Obviously, he was a huge a huge player in early Van Halen in their history, and it's an excellent book. Go pick up Running with the Devil. It was fantastic. And then after that, just a few days ago, Jason, or even just the day after that, Jason Newsted comes out and says, yeah, Alex Van Halen asked me to kind of reform with Van Halen, play bass for him, and go on a tour with David Lee Roth. Everyone's like, what? Like that just came out of nowhere. And
yeah,
it was Alex had asked, it was going to be with David Lee Roth, Jason Newsted, and Joe Satriani. We're going to go on tour and play Van Halen shit, which would be fucking amazing, right? And then they asked Joe Satriani, and he's like, yeah, I was under the impression we weren't supposed to say anything, but yeah, we've been talking about it for about a year. So Joe went and confirmed it. And then even just today, David Lee Roth, they asked him about it, and I'm going to read his quote verbatim because it's David Lee Roth.
Please do.
Yeah. Quote, in my mind, Van Halen 4K in the age of COVID is going to require two of us for every position. Satriani and Lukather, that's Steve Lukather from Toto, who's a big friend of Eddie Van Halen. Anthony and Newsted, Al or Tommy Lee, and probably the only one who could do my job today would be Pink. So can you imagine going to a Van Halen show that featured Alex Van Halen and possibly Tommy Lee as well, Steve Lukather and Joe Satriani on guitar, and Pink and David Lee Roth on vocals?
There's a B and a C team, according to this lineup on the names he just gave. And boy, would I be really, really upset to go to a Van Halen show and hear the C team. I'm not even going to lie. Not everybody. I mean, like some of the new C team there, not so bad. But I tell you, you sold me on Satriani. If you guys don't know Joe Satriani's work, he's a guitar virtuoso in every sense of the word, and apparently, as is probably pretty typical, a Van Halen fan, an Eddie Van Halen fan, I'd venture to say. And that is, if you're going to quote unquote replace Eddie whatsoever, that's a good person to go to. Yes, John.
I saw GNR at the Garden a couple of years back, and Pink came out with them, and she killed it 100%. If you're telling me the B or the C team involved Satriani and or Pink, like that's the show I want to be at.
That's the show. That's the one.
I mean, you can sit it there with your judgy little beady eyes all you want, Mark. I'm fine with it. I will go with Jeff and Corey and enjoy the show.
I would absolutely enjoy that show. And I think that's the way to do it. Bring a bunch of artists in, and you're not really replacing Eddie. You're paying tribute to Eddie.
That's a good point.
Almost like a Freddie Mercury tribute concert, but take it on the road. And, Wolfie had mentioned maybe wanting to be a part of that, have Mammoth WVH open and have Wolf come out and play some bass as well. Like that would be fantastic. The one name that's not mentioned anywhere, of course, is Sammy Hagar.
See, that's where I'm having trouble with, but
we all know that Sammy and Dave are not fans of each other. They went on that disastrous tour together, which was so bad they even had to build like a false wall between like two sides of the building, so they couldn't actually interact with each other at any point. But Sammy had said he would do a tribute show at some point. I'm hoping they can maybe kind of put their differences aside and really get everybody involved with Van Halen together and take that thing on the road. I would absolutely go see that lineup.
Yeah, and a couple other names I'd love to hear down the road playing guitar would be like a Steve Vai or a Yngwie Malmsteen. Like, throw them in there. Look, even throw a Buckethead in there. What the hell? Like, give me some good guitar virtuosos in there trying to interpret Eddie and doing their own take on Van Halen. I would love to see those kind of shows.
I could hear Buckethead just doing all of the parts himself, with the exception of drums, but just playing the vocal line on his guitar, playing the guitar, the bass, just everything. Because Buckethead is stupid good. But yeah, that's some pretty interesting news. And right on the tail end, as we finished an episode last week, that's crazy. Hearts go out to Noel and his family, and we just keep on trucking. That's what we do. So, what else you got for us, Corey?
I'm sure that we'll be able to talk more about that potential Van Halen show as the days and weeks come here. I think Van Halen News Desk, God bless them, they continue to break all the big news. They posted the David Lee Roth soundbite today, just a couple hours before we record this. I thought that was pretty awesome, but put me down. Mark and I are both, and I'll speak for everybody on the call here. Among the unfortunate ones who never got to see Van Halen live, and now with Eddie gone, that is a big miss. Unfortunately, I live in a part of the world where nobody wants to tour ever. Although I did just see Alice Cooper and Buckcherry, and they put on a hellacious show. Yes, John.
Jeff lives in a town like the Footloose town where music died in the 80s, so Jeff probably hasn't seen Van Halen. I've never seen Van Halen, so I'd sign up for this. Jeff, am I speaking too soon for you?
Well, I grew up in the town from Footloose. Where I live now, there is kind of a music scene.
Okay. So like,
I can confirm that.
Did you learn how to dance from Chris Penn too?
Oh God.
Mostly, yes.
Ooh, that's a reference to the young listeners going, what the hell are you guys talking about?
His name is Sean Penn. I don't know who this Chris Penn is you're talking about. There was a Chris Penn. He had his own starring vehicle called the Wildlife. Check it out sometime, or don't. It's awful.
If you guys
or
have
just
young
watch
listeners,
Reservoir Dogs.
you guys are doing a Van Halen podcast.
We are?
The chances are your demographic is right in the Chris Penn lane.
Gosh, I hope.
Yeah. Chris Penn taught me half my dance moves, and Miles Teller taught me the other half.
It's amazing you're still single, Jeff. What do you say we spin the wheel and get a song, huh? Everybody's screaming right now at their podcast player of choice saying, just play the fucking song.
Hey, look, it's just as much of a surprise to us as it is to you, the listener. We just hope that you are as entertained by it as we certainly are. But you know how this works. And if you don't, I'm going to explain it to you again. We spin the wheel. The wheel has all of the songs in Van Halen's catalog. We take one out once we do an episode. So there is still, as I'm looking at the wheel, there's 98. Wow. We are in double digits now.
That's right.
That's great. Yeah. So, and if you look on our Twitter, the wheel is absolutely real. Some people were having trouble acknowledging that we even had a wheel. Like, no, we have to put it on Twitter for you just to see. The wheel exists, and the wheel is our fickle mistress.
You know what? Some people wouldn't believe that there's a Mariano, but he also exists, and he's here again.
Yeah, he's all too real, as they say. And the cult grows, but. Corey, I have to ask you, because I ask you every week, is there something, a track or maybe an album perhaps this week that you want to manifest and bring to life so that we can have something to talk about?
You know what? I want to Dave hit, because we have Jeff here and he said the David Lee Roth era kind of passed him by. I want to educate him a little bit on the glory and the majesty of one David Lee Roth. Sir David Lee Roth, even though he was never officially knighted by the Queen, I'm assuming that's coming any day now. Give me something big. We already had Panama. We already had Hot for Teacher. Just something, Dave, that we could have some fun with. That's what I'm hoping for.
Some Diamond Dave. Yeah, I'm sure he was knighted. That we'll just keep waiting for that one to to come to existence. But for me, I think I want to hear some more Van Halen 2. That's what I want. I want something from Van Halen 2. So, in a sense, more Dave. I know everyone's going like, "What, Mark? You hate David Lee Roth?" Like, well, first of all, no, I don't. That's never been a thing. I'm just pro Sammy. It's fine. I still love David Lee Roth, and I love Van Halen 2. I love that album. So let's hear some more of that. Jeff, as you have mentioned, sort of Van Halen's sort of catalog kind of got to the push to the wayside for you, but from the ones that you are familiar with, is there any in particular you'd like to hear and discuss?
I think anything that a claymation hamburger could sing, I would be happy with.
That's another reference for you out there. So I would like to hear a claymation hamburger sing a Van Halen tune. So yeah, maybe we'll get lucky. And dare I ask, since you're here with us, Mariano, what do you want to bring to the table?
I am a huge fan of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Bring the fuck on.
And you know,
we finally got one last week.
We had a fuck song last week, and it was great. So I'd be down for another fuck song. Absolutely.
Yes, let's get a fuck song. But that's Sammy. So if the wheel gods are kind, then we'll get either get Sammy or we'll get maybe a hit from the Roth era. Guess we'll find out. It's all up to the wheel. Corey, what do you say we spin this thing?
Let's do it.
Here we go.
All right, slowing down and coming up with Best Both Worlds from 5150. This is a big one.
Best of Both Worlds. Is this our no, we've done a 5150 before, yeah?
We did Inside from
there it is.
150, yeah.
And now Best of Both Worlds.
I'm excited. I don't want to tip my hand, but I know this song quite well. Jeff, you were, I don't know, kind of listening to Van Halen around this time. Do you recall anything from 5150? This is the first album with Sammy Hagar.
I 100% do not. But I've heard y'all mention this album and this song before on the podcast. So I'm definitely interested to see what all the hubbub is about.
All right, John, I saw you smiling when this thing stopped because the next song on the wheel was going to be Up for Breakfast, which is a huge turd in the Van Halen catalog. But we got 5150 instead. What are your feelings on this one?
I'm a huge fan of this song. I remember when this was released. I remember I was getting into Van Halen. Well, I was into Van Halen with the 84, but my cousins were educating me on what was going on with the band. And it was all set up that this was going to be a huge dud because they were changing singers. There was turmoil within the band and all this stuff. And I remember hearing this and just being like, and I joke around and I, especially to Raz Mark and like, I'm not a Hagar guy. Like this song kicks ass. And I am so pumped that we're getting this song right now.
Well, look at that. A non-contrarian answer from Mariano. The times they are a-changing.
It just sucks that I got to look into Mark's beady eyes while I listen to it.
I'm told my eyes are beautiful orbs, but okay.
Beautiful. Well, there you go. I don't even know how to reply to that.
It wouldn't be me if I didn't silence a room. It's all good.
All right. So 5150, of course, Eddie Studios named 5150. This is the named after the California law enforcement term for a mentally disturbed person, which is kind of cool. Released in 1986. There was actually an edited version. The single version went 358. The album version goes 449. We're going to listen to the album version if that's cool with you guys. I don't usually pick the singles version. I want to hear the whole thing. So
yeah, whole thing.
All right. So what do you say? What do we get? Why don't we get into Best of Both Worlds from 5150?
Let's rock.
All right, before we get into the heavy stuff there, how great is that riff to kick off this song?
It makes me want to strut. It's a strutting riff. Like of all the times to imagine you're watching a film and you're just watching your main character get introduced and he or she is just strutting along. This is the song you play underneath it. It's a strutting riff. I'm into it.
John, you're making a face. What does that mean?
I'm just trying to visualize Mark strutting, and it's
it's a scene, man.
It's hitting me in the face like a bunch of wet noodles. Like it's not a pretty picture.
You don't like noodles?
Not being slapped in the face by them. I don't. Jeff, how is Mark strutting hitting you?
Well, I think in all the right ways. So far, what I'm hearing is very 90s, very nice, and that's kind of how I would picture Mark strutting. To this music in particular, you know, I'm imagining some very loudly colored pants and shirt and sneakers.
Nailed it. Jeff nailed it. That's exactly what it is.
Jeff, this is a far cry from Alan Jackson or any of that other country bumpkin shit that you normally listen to. I don't know. Do you feel like you need to go to church and pray after hearing that?
No. The goal for this episode is for me to get all the right feels down in the nether regions, and I'm starting to get a little tingle.
Oh, I tell you, this lick is going to do it for you, buddy. You just wait till I hit play here again. John and I, there's a movie that John did, and there was a quote about a purple-headed warrior in yogurt that comes to mind. What's going to happen to Jeff in about 30 seconds when the rest of this riff plays? Can you enlighten the folks, John?
Yeah. Just to clarify for the folks, the purple-headed warrior thing that Corey's actually talking about is a purple-headed yogurt slinger, and you guys can use your imagination on that.
Oh boy!
Here we go.
It's not enough to fill me up. I need more than just words to say. I need everything this life can give me. Hey, yeah. 'Cause sometimes it's not enough. Ow.
Come on.
Yeah. Peak Sammy. That's what I'm talking about.
Killing it. I always thought that this song was kind of like one of the, and I'm speculating, sorry folks, but I always thought this is maybe one of the first ones he was writing lyrics to, because it almost sounds like he's talking about his time with Van Halen, right? This could be everything we dreamed. It's not work that makes it work. It's to let the magic do the work for you. Lyrics like that kind of make it sound like, coming in here, let's make this as kick-ass an experience as we can for the folks. And on this riff and on this music, absolutely phenomenal stuff.
Mm-hmm. You might be onto something there. It does kind of give that feel that, hey, this is our first jam session. What do I write to this first jam session being their new guy? This could definitely be it, but I don't know because I wasn't there. I'm sure there are 1,000 books written upon it that I haven't read, but I'm not an expert. I'm just a simple fan. Jeff, John, how are you guys feeling so far?
I'm getting a vibe from this, like if Back to the Future had been made a few years later, they probably would have kicked Huey Lewis to the side, and this would have been the Power of Love song from that movie.
Oh, in Earth 2, that's what we got, man.
Make the classic movie even better.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Sammy's singing in that upper register right now. Like he's up there, and it feels like he's trying to do a dick punch to David Lee Roth, and kind of like, it's my band now, bitch. And like this kind of feels like it's that statement a little bit. And I'm here for it.
Yeah. And all the classic songs on 5150, this is the one that kind of could seem like a dick punch to David Lee Roth. Absolutely. Because you get, Summer Nights and, of course, Love Walks In and Why Can't This Be Love, the two ballads, and this one kicks off side two. So imagine, side one's pretty good. Then you flip over side two, and this is the first thing that hits you in the face. That's not by accident.
It's called Best of Both Worlds. So we're getting the best of both worlds, as in one world is the kick-ass music, Otherworld is, hey, now you got kick-ass vocals. It's 100% a dick punch, I think.
So do you, or what you're saying is, while they're recording this, Mr. Hagar is walking around the recording studio with his ding dong out, just pissing along the floorboards.
I don't see how you look at it any other way. Yeah, that's canon.
Right.
I think that absolutely happened.
That's canon, and we're official experts on this now.
Come on, baby, close your eyes, let go. This can be everything we dreamed. It's not work that makes it work. Oh, now let the magic do the work for you. 'Cause honey, something reached out and touched me. Now I know all I want the best. Where's it, honey? I know what it's worth. If we could have the best. Where's we have heaven right here on earth. Woo!
All right. I know last week Kelsey called me out, and rightly so, for me trashing Sammy Hagar lyrics. That's fucking phenomenal. That's low key probably my favorite chorus in Van Halen history is the chorus to Best of Both Worlds. That is perfect.
Wow. All right.
Love it.
I can't wait till we get to the power ballads, because then you're gonna really see, man. That's Sammy's time where he really shines. But it's true. It's 100% true. We can talk about some of the past songs we've listened to, we've talked about, and what the content of the lyrics were or what they might have been. But this does not. This is not one of those. This is actually a song with a statement. You know, we can speculate also what the true meaning behind Best of Both Worlds is out of good fun. It's whatever, but just what the song is and what he's saying and what within the content of the lyrics. This is just it's a very clear picture to me.
I just think that this is. I'm traditionally not a huge Sammy guy, and this to me, like this 5150 album, and this song in particular, is some of my favorite stuff he's ever done. He feels very rock and roll here. He feels very in your face, and regardless of what the meaning of the lyrics are, the song being Best of Both Worlds, him being the second singer of this band, and kind of taking it into his own, and the band feels so cohesive, working in and around Sammy working in and around the band. It doesn't feel like, oh, here's our next singer, here's the next guy. It feels like, no, this is we are going to be the world's greatest band still, and here's the proof. And this to me feels as much like a declaration as it does a song.
Yeah, I would definitely echo all of that. I don't know why this wasn't on a soundtrack for something, because it definitely has that feel to it. Without you guys, if you guys hadn't mentioned it to me, I never would have thought, after listening to what we've heard so far, that there ever was another lead singer to the band. Because this sounds like, these guys have been like together and doing their thing the whole time. It's good stuff, man. Not that I don't like the David stuff, which I've gotten to know through listening to your guys' podcast. I do enjoy some of the Shamala Dibbly Dibbity Bops, but this is good stuff here.
I just want to point out before we kick it in again, it was wonderful. The band sounds amazing. There's Alex does that little roll leading into the chorus. That was just perfect. Mike's killing it on the bass. The production of this album, I always loved. Don Landy, who's a longtime engineer for Ted Templeman, produced this album with Mick Jones from Foreigner, and together they pumped out an instant classic. I think this sounds amazing. What do you say we keep it rolling?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Well, there's a picture in a gallery, fallen angel look a lot like you. We forget where we come from. Sometimes I had a dream it was really you. Something reached out and touched me. Now I know
John, when something reaches out and touches you, what do you want?
I like to touch back.
Okay.
I reach back and touch back. I reach around sometimes if it need to.
Interesting.
But if something's coming to touch me, basically what I'm saying is I'm touching back. Mark, how do you feel about all the touching going on?
As long as it's consensual, it's all good. I think that's ultimately what this song is about. Best of both worlds, consensual touches.
All right, Mark, how good was that solo?
I've mentioned before that I'm a sucker for the dive bomb on a guitar. Eddie opens his solo with the dive bomb. He doesn't end it like you would think. You expect the solo to end on something like a dive bomb because why not? There's nowhere left for it to go once you've just ripped someone a new one with a rip-roaring solo. But in this, he opens with it, and so it just becomes this explosion of sound. I don't know if this one's my favorite solo of it. Well, no, it's not. My favorite solo is Eruption, but that doesn't count. That's a whole track. That's a whole epic by itself. But this one's good. This one's really, really good. And look, if the song is a personal statement about the band and about where the band is going to go upon further research, apparently the song is about Sammy's optimism for the future of the band, which is interesting considering where they go. But then this solo is another statement of, yeah, it's still me. It's still us. It's still Van Halen, kind of like what John was alluding to. We're still going to kick ass and do the same rock music that you know and love. It's just going to be a tad different because we have this other guy singing for us who's the face of the band now. And he's no slouch. But even if you think so, listen to this real quick. And dive bomb solo, the best way Eddie Van Halen can do it. Jeez. Ooh, it's fire. That's what it is. It's fire.
My nether regions are feeling the fire right now.
I it's not among my favorite Eddie guitar solos, but that's like saying that's not my favorite New York pizza, right? Like even ordinary New York pizza is pretty outstanding. And if you haven't been to New York, come have our pizza, come have our bagels. This is Food Talk with John. Corey, you knew I was going to bring it back to this.
You son of a bitch. I haven't had supper, you son of a bitch. Now I'm craving pizza like you wouldn't believe.
He's not wrong, though, about the New York pizza. It's very true. Corey, how do you feel about this solo?
Oh, God, it's perfect. Everything about this is perfect. I love the solo. Again, he's not overplaying the song. He sounds amazing, and he's playing rhythm underneath, which in the Dave era he didn't do. I'm trying to think of the songs we covered if he played rhythm underneath any of the Dave stuff. It was just kind of from this era on, he played his own rhythm underneath. Never liked double tracking or anything like that. So the fact we got Eddie playing rhythm underneath his own stuff and the band is on fire, I thought the solo was absolutely fantastic. And then we're going to bring it down now again a little bit, just kind of like good sex, right? We're going to bring you close to a climax and then boop, bring her down a little bit, and then we're going to build it back up again. One of my favorite parts about this song, like good fucking best of both worlds is there for you, Van Halen fans. Here we go.
Just tune in to what this place has got to offer, 'cause we
right, we're going to take it out in a minute here. I just wanted to point out the lyrics on that last verse. You don't have to die to go to heaven or hang around to be born again. Just tune into what this place has got to offer because we may never be here again. Again, it kind of fits into the whole Sammy embarking on this new journey with Van Halen, doesn't it? Like, it kind of ties together.
I think it is. And, you know, he's saying to you, like, look, this, I think even he is sort of putting a little commentary on that. Like, look, I don't know how long this is going to last because, you know, I'm still the new guy and I don't know how they're going to feel about it. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this in like a year's time, but here we are and we're doing it. So enjoy it because we're enjoying it.
It was a big unknown at the time how Van Halen would fare with David Lee Roth. Of course, he was first out of the gate. He did the EP Crazy from the Heat, and his first debut album was coming out same year. So there was a lot of unknowns around Van Halen at the time. Of course, now the album has gone 6 times platinum in the US. It's obviously a colossal hit for the band, but you know, back in '86, a lot of uncertainty. So it kind of shows the lyrics here. John, anything that you want to add there before we kind of hit the final minute of the song?
No, we were at an interesting point in music, right? Like, just to give it some context, like Def Leppard was going through their own stuff at this time. Van Halen was going through. We have all these mega bands, and Aerosmith that we do the Aerosmith podcast. They're going through their own stuff. So all of these bands that were on top of the world at this point of the '80s were going through these transitions, and we didn't know where they were going to land yet, right? Like, Walk This Way kind of hits what Run DMC in '86. This hits. Hysteria hasn't hit yet for Def Leppard. So like, just to give it context, there was such an upheaval in the rock world at this point, and we're just on the precipice of all these major changes and things happening. It was such an exciting time to love music.
And what were you listening to in '86, John? Did Dolly Parton have an album out there? Sorry, not John. Yeah. I tried to make a pumpkin joke and it didn't work, so we're going to cut this out.
No, we're not going to cut this out, Corey.
You're not editing the show, you prick. I'm editing the show.
because I was a huge 9 to 5 fan, you son of a bitch.
Well, it's true. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Everyone likes 9 to 5. Come
everybody
on.
everybody likes Dolly. That was just bad on my part.
She's a treasure.
She is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those last lyrics, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why we still didn't have MTV in the mid to late 80s.
They took away your MTV, your big screen TVs.
Man, look at
all your electronics.
And look at all the good shit you missed.
I'm learning about it.
All right, let's keep it rolling. And just like after the big climax, we got a little bit of enjoying the afterglow as we fade out here. I need a cigarette now. Mark, what are your thoughts on Best of Both Worlds?
6 to midnight. But yeah, that's I really like how they just decided not to do the concert ending with that one. They just sort of like, no, we're still jamming. We're still vibing. You're still vibing. So we're just going to slowly just sort of fade off into the sunset
it's the
and
rhythm
leave you with your thoughts.
It's the rhythm of sex, right? Start off slow, build them up, bring it down, bring it back up, and then the afterglow.
You heard it here, folks. This song is just good fucking. But my question to the crowd, and we will start with our guests here. Jeff, you've now heard some Sammy Hagar era, peak Sammy, I would say, Van Halen. You've heard a song you are not familiar with, and now you are. Tell me, you can do a thumbs up or down. Is this what dreams are made of? Or for you, is the dream over?
Yeah, this was certainly some good stuff. And if this is what the Sammy era is, I want more. The one thing about just catching a few of the band's songs that got radio play when I finally got a car, is there's a lot that I've missed out on, and this is definitely some good stuff, and I agree with everything that Corey said about this being like a sexy, this is definitely like straight out of the brown chicken brown cow songbook, and I love it. And the way it faded off there at the end, I mean, it almost felt like we were all cuddling afterwards, right?
Like a big worm post coil hug. But when you said brown chicken, brown cow, I looked over at John and he gave the most awful scowl, like he's struggling to comprehend what that means.
Oh yeah, brown chicken, brown cow.
I got it. I got
and
it.
I'm dying over here.
John, what did you think?
I thought it was a sex position for a minute.
It could be.
How would that work?
It is now.
Come on down to Texas and I'll show you.
Oh.
John's going to draw something now and show us later on the call. I can predict it.
I'm going to draw your faces on it too. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
Oh boy.
But
Before you do that though, yeah, the song, is the dream over, or is this what sexy dreams are made of?
I mean, come on, you're giving me literally the best of both worlds. You're sitting there and you're remaking the band on the fly, and not only not missing a beat, but making it seem like it's this band's fourth or fifth album together as a unit on the go. And part of that is how excellent the musicians are behind the band, but part of that is the professionalism of Mr. Hagar. And my word, what a song! What a way to turn your album over, flip it to side B, and kick ass out of the gate.
Well said, very well said. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked by how much I'm agreeing with John on today's episode. But the true test is now upon us. Corey, you said you showed your hand a little bit, but I don't think so. I think you have more to say about it. So tell me, is the dream over, or is this what dreams are made of for you?
This may be my all-time favorite Van Halen song. Coming into the podcast, I had this penciled in at number 1. I love this song that much. And 23 episodes in, I still love this song this much. Breaking down the songs like we're doing, something might supplant it someday, Mark, but it's not this day. Best of Both Worlds is fucking fantastic. I love everything about this song. And I love that we spun this song when we have the Best of Both Worlds with our guests. We have Jeff, who has elevated everything that we do throughout the entire time we've known him. And then we have John. And they're so opposite spectrum of each other that they're the best of both worlds. So it's a perfect song choice for tonight. And it's absolutely what dreams are made of.
That's actually, oh man, yeah, we do have the best of both worlds, and this was serendipitous. The wheel knew that today's episode was going to be something special, had to give us something special. So to finalize our thoughts on this track, it's my go, and I'm gonna tell you this, Corey. I'm gonna need you to bust out a broom, because it's a clean sweep. I don't think I can add too much more to what has already been said, but the only thing I kind of wish, this song is so damn good, and this album is so damn good, I almost wish this had been the opening track to 5150, only because Sammy comes out swinging. The band comes out swinging. I mean, like, it's not a completely like rip roaring like hard rock song, but it is rocking, and it rips in all the places that it should. Shout out to that dive bomb solo. But it's like I said earlier, it's this peak Sammy. He's not even hitting close to the highest notes that he can hit and does hit other times on this album. And then later when they do more songs, but this is still, he is in just superb vocal condition for this song, for this time. The lyrics are absolutely perfect for the music. The music is just, I mean, what could I say about the music? You just heard it. You know how good it sounds. I'm super happy that this was somebody's first time listening to this song. Thank you, Jeff, for that, because yeah, looking at it from your perspective kind of gives me extra perspective. And I am very familiar with this song, but it's always nice to revisit a song that we are familiar with. Corey can attest to that. And I have to agree, this is some good fucking music. So there you go, you guys.
Yeah!
Clean sweep.
Even Dave's happy.
Even Dave's happy. I mean, he did a little bump before. He's fine. But yeah, that is best of both worlds. And you had the best of both worlds because you had Corey and myself, and then you had some old faithful friends joining us for today, Jeff and John. But before we depart, Corey, can you let the people know where they can find the podcast, where they can find us, you in particular?
Well, they can find the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. You can find us on our website, podcastwillrock.com, on our Twitter handle @podcastwillrock. And please let us know what you think of the show, good and bad. I know we like to make fun of the people that trash us. They're certainly out there. But for everyone that trashes us, there's about 10 that doesn't. So guys like Michael Green and Tarm Armbruster. And I want to shout out our friends at the Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast. They just did a deep dive into 5150, actually, the entire album, with our guest in 2 weeks, Eric Senich from the Van Halen News Desk. So by all means, check out that show. Sean Geek and Fast Fret are actually booked on our show as well, coming up in July. So that's going to be a great time. But they do a fantastic podcast.
Very fun.
Absolutely. Check that out, as well as check out all of our friends on the Deep Dive Podcasting Network, which includes Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited, which is a show I at least used to host with one John Mariano. I don't know if I do anymore because I trashed him so bad on this show, but if we're still doing it, they usually drop on Wednesdays. John, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. We talk about Aerosmith. We kind of do the exact same thing that they do here, only we use dice instead of a wheel, and we're building a ultimate mixtape of Aerosmith songs. So everyone can join us. I just want to make it clear. I think the mistake Corey makes in talking about folks is, as you can trash all you want as long as you're listening. So by all means, you folks out there that are listening to this episode, feel free to trash me, trash Mark, trash Corey. You could trash the greatest human being in the world, Jeff Saunders. I mean, look, if you're gonna trash Jeff, just understand that you're probably garbage. But we still endorse the fact that you're allowed to trash people. And by all means, trashing us means you're listening, and we appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well said, John.
Yeah. Jeff, where can the good people find you?
I'm right here right now. But other than that, I think my thing is at Jeff Saunders 1974 across the socials, and there may be some Hillbilly Scripts new content coming out soon. So you can Google the Hillbilly Scripts and find all that kind of good stuff.
You're in for a treat if you are not familiar with the Scribs, because that is just good quality content from a good quality individual. We love it. You can find me, of course, at Mark the Bat on Twitter and Instagram. And I agree with Mariano's sentiment. Trash me all you want, just as long as you're listening. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. That's the show, you guys. Thank you so much to John and Jeff for joining us. One of you just being invited and one of you just manifesting your damn self, but it's always a treat because that's what we do here. We have fun. We talk about a great band like Van Halen, one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. We are simple fans. We're not experts. We're not historians of the rock variety. We're just fans who enjoy the music, who enjoy talking about it, and that's what we do here. And we appreciate you all joining us for the ride. This is And the Podcast Will Rock, and we will rock you later.